picture that I got from Fritz Popp book, first book, and it shows that the frequency are going lower and lower while you increase the complexity of the organism. So you see the molecules are very high frequencies, and then organoids a little bit lower, then cell, organ, system, organism, the whole organ. So when you're working on very low frequencies, that's what you remember the display that I showed yesterday. I think this one. I think it's important to notice. You remember, when you are working on the very low frequency, you have an influence of all the frequency inside your organs. I want to go back to the flow that I explained yesterday, and this is a very important thing. You see, these two parts of the brain. One is the sensitive part, and the other one is the motor part. And so when we are talking about the flow, it's something that when you're mixing these two parts, which are very close to each other, and there is some kind of resonance between these two parts of the brain. And when there is this resonance in these two parts of the brain, you get the flow, and you forget completely the front part. And that's what I think that's the most important thing. So to come back again to the feeling of your body. And it is the most important thing. And even maybe you know about the number series of Grabovoi. You have heard about it. But most of the time it's working, but sometimes it's not working. And why it is not working? Because you don't make the connection with your feeling in the body with the part of your body you want to heal. If you make the connection to the part of the body you want to heal, and to make the connection to the number, it is working much, much better than to read with your mental part. You really have to make a connection to your body. It's very, very important. And this is the aim of our apps, is to help you to get again this feeling that we have lost. This feeling, you remember I've shown all the frequency that you can see the visible part of the spectrum, the audio part of the spectrum, but the lower frequency are much, much more important. And to recover, and like that you can feel the breathing of a tree. So when I say the breathing, it's that if you connect to a tree, you will feel the tree which is going like this. Well, of course, not with your eyes, but you will feel your hands moving like this at very, very slow frequencies. And these very slow frequencies are very important. And I explained yesterday why they are important inside the body, because one of the most important waves that we have inside the body is a pressure wave. So a pressure wave, again, it's a compression wave. So it's a scalar wave, and you can feel it from a very long distance and interact with it at a distance.
Longitude.
Again, yeah. But I think it's not very easy to understand. And the first thing that I want to show you, it's about the flow.
By the way.
This is my latest work regarding to the flow. And this is a picture of the Flaming Mind app, which is measuring brainwave. And I will explain a little bit more about how the app is working. I hope I will have enough time. Otherwise, we can continue tomorrow during the practice. And what's important is this display. Well, this is a beta version of the latest version of the app. So there are a lot of things that are now not yet in the app and which are not visible now in the app. But in the previous part of the app, we just have, because that's what we were looking for, just have the back part of the brain. Because when Dan asked me to do it, he said, we don't see anything in the front part, so just try to extract things, the back part. And this white curve here, it's the left spectrum of the brainwave, and the right part, white part here, is the right part of the back of the brainwave. And in yellow, it's something that I just add. This is the front part. And so what we are looking, trying to make this flow, is to have biggest peak in the white drawing here, so the white spectrum, and the lower peaks in the front part, which is in yellow here. And well,
Just show them what the frequencies are.
okay, so this band here in blue is beta. You see there are beta, alpha, this part.
7 to 12.
Theta and delta in red. So and theta. What's very important to measure this flow is the size of the peak that will appear in the green part here, which is alpha, and also in theta. And well, it is not displayed here sometimes, but it's more difficult. That's what Dan talked previously. He said that when you use very big frequency, very big peak in the theta frequency, sometimes you can get peak also in the gamma, so the higher frequency. So, but it's much more difficult. I'm still working on it. Well, and so what I will show you, it's a recording, just playing music and making and very one with the music. So letting my body move, you know, like a violin player. Don't do like this, but you see, let the body follow the music movement, and you will see that it's possible to have a lot of big peak in the alpha part and the theta frequencies. And what we have to look at, it's here. This is the power spectrum. This bullet here is the power spectrum of the front part. So the more it will be smaller with green around it, the much the front waves will disappear. So I can show you. Should be nice, okay, but not at the beginning, of course. I think it's okay.
That's nice alpha there.
Yeah, and you see that. So you see the big peak in the alpha. And it stays, and sometimes I lose it, so I get it again. But you see in this part, it's a very low frequency a bigger frequency. Well, see in the back part of the brain than in the front. And as you see, it stays. It stays. You can stay there for minutes. But
so you're saying that you want the front brain to be kind of turned off.
Yes, yes. So the power spectrum of the front brain should disappear.
Yeah. So the amygdala in the back of your brain, the reptilian brain, is switched on.
Yeah, yeah. And you see that there are a lot of alpha.
Back of your head's working, front of your head's working.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, that's powerful new information. So we just added this capability that the Muse headset now has capability with front and back brain at the same time. This is like orders of magnitude over any other app for measuring brainwaves.
Yeah, and it will be released in a month or so. Yes. So I'm working on it now. But it's amazing because it seems to work. So that's great. We have. I had a lot of questions regarding sound waves and how to use it and a relationship to this sound wave with therapy and so in this Flame in Mind app, but first of all I have to explain how I decide to make why I decide to make this sound wave. In fact, when I just have finished the HRV apps, Dan come back to me and said, don't you think that now with new technology it could be possible to replace my old device and very expensive device that are measuring brainwaves? And so I say, okay, well, let's try. And then I began working. I began programming on it. We found that it was possible to get the information we were looking for. This was the first step, very easy. The next step was to get the bliss state while programming. You know.
Get the bliss state while programming.
Okay, but when you're programming, you're not really in bliss state. And then I changed something in the programming, and then, okay, let's try to make a bliss state to see if my programming is correct. Well, so I tried to find a way to get more easily to and not wait for an hour, half an hour, get a walk outside, try to relax. And so as I was working since a long time with sounds, I get the idea. If therapy, I've used therapy and I knew what it was doing on the body. So get all your pieces together and centering, but I didn't have a therapy at home. So I said, why not trying to use the audio frequency of the therapy and listen to this audio? And so I began to create these audio files, and it helped me a lot, but it was not enough. And then I said, but okay, but you're a sacrocranial therapist, you're using a very low frequency. How can I mix this very low frequency with therapy frequency? And why not using binaural beat? So I created a beat, a binaural beat, on the frequency of the Mayo wave or on the frequency of the emptiness of the ventricles, but while using the therapy frequencies. And then I got very nice result. It was much more easy to relax, to get, well, to test what I was doing with the app. But it was not enough. And then I asked the universe, can you help me? And I was really bored about programming. And then I say, okay, I will relax and I will watch a video. And I wanted to watch a video of Paul that he has done a couple of years ago. And in this video, he was showing a Russian pyramid in copper. And when I saw it, I say, this is what I have to do. And so I went to the shop, I bought the copper, and I built the kind of Russian pyramid that, it's a beautiful picture here of Tufan inside the pyramid. And so I built this kind of pyramid. And this kind of pyramid is very interesting, you see, because there are a lot of spheres inside. And all these spheres are in relation with golden ratio. And so I built this pyramid and I tried it, and it was much more fast for me to get the state that I can measure if my app is working or not. And then I contact Dan, I explain him, and he said, I explained him the shape of the pyramid, and then Dan told me that the most important thing after the shape was the size. And so I come back to Dan equation. I think you remember all this frequency in a scale and perfect scale, and I adapt this scale to the size of the copper pipes. You know, in music, there is a triangle. If you hit the triangle, depending on the shape of the triangle, you will get different frequency, different notes. And so I did the same thing for the pyramid. So I took my meter and I measure what I have to change in the pyramid. And I didn't have to change anything. It was the perfect size of the equation of Dan.
And the proof later will be the capacitive resonance, the spectrum of how it rings.
Yeah. And then, to make the connection to the ground, it would be better to be on the crossing line of the grid. And then I was searching for the crossing line inside my place, and the pyramid that I have built was exactly on the point.
Just use a magnetometer to find it?
You could.
No, just like Dan explained, you just, when you're at a crossing point, your body do this.
Basic dowsing.
Yeah. And so, just to explain you that I brought with me two pyramids. One, which is the same as Tufan was inside, which is like a Russian pyramid. And I have also brought with me a Cheops one. I will build them in the garden. Like that, you can test it. You can go inside and see what you feel.
Tomorrow is play day.
Okay, and tomorrow, let's hope that it will not rain. You can also go inside the pyramid with the sound device and see, like that, you can compare and play a little bit with it. So I will rapidly, as there are a lot of questions about it, talk about what's a binaural beat and how was created the sound wave that we are using in Flame in Mind, which is a full app, including EEG with this kind of sensor. Yeah? You place it like this on your head, very simple, very light, and it's measuring your brain wave. And we will play also tomorrow because it's so sensitive that you can also get your EKG. And we will show you tomorrow how to get your EKG out of it, even if it's a brainwave device. And with a special kit, you can also measure the emotional balance between two people. We can play with this tomorrow also. No, you just need one, but you need little kit with grist. Yes. That you connect it. We will show it. We will show it tomorrow. So first of all, what's a binaural beat? Okay. So in fact, when you have two very close frequencies, the difference of these two frequencies will generate what they call a beat in music. So if we take, for example, 440 Hertz and 440.1, you will have a beat. So a beat, it means that the sound will go up and down, disappear, will go up and down, disappear. So a 0.1 Hertz example here, which is 6 times per minute, it means that you will have a beat for 10 seconds.
Beat node or heterodyne. And that notably, that's the Mayer wave. That's how you put the
Okay.
Mayer.
And so remember, I showed it yesterday. So if you take 0.1 Hertz, you are exactly at the frequency of your pressure wave inside the body, which is a sacrocranial wave. And you can also induce it for lower frequency waves.
Helps make the bliss.
Yeah. So if you are playing binaural beats with two speakers, you will not hear it because it will go like this on both of the speakers, so the sound will be continuous sound. But if you use headset, it's important, then it depends. Sometimes you will feel it, sometimes not, because at some frequencies your brain doesn't feel that there is a movement of the sound, but your body will catch it. That's the reason why good healing Tibetan boils are so powerful, because there are a lot of harmonics inside the Tibetan boil. But if you take a stereo mic and you record the Tibetan boil, you will see this. You see?
And it even looks like a caduceus as it.
Yeah. Yes, it is also, because you hit it and then you let it go and then decrease. But you see there is an 180 degrees out of phase between left and right channel. So the sound in the room will do this. So you will have all the frequencies which are coming from the Tibetan boil, but also a binaural beat in the room.
Have you tried to record a Tibetan bowl and then with a stereo mic and then pan the left and the right channels and then try listening to that in headphones? Because
you will get the same effect.
Get the same effect, yeah. But if you just hit the binaural beat, the Tibetan bowl in a room, you're still getting the effect, but your brain's not creating the.
If you don't know this, you will not hear it. But now that you know it, if you do it, you will be attentive and you will feel it. You will really hear the sound which is going like this.
Try it out?
Well,
We're just kidding.
But maybe later. Yeah. Well, so this is the part of the app. So you see in the app there are 3 parts. The sound generator, binaural sound generator, a sensor connection, and the analyzer. I will show the analyzer later. So this is the sound part, and they can be used separately. So if you want to only go to the sound generator, you can use this thing. You have a lot of frequencies which are already defined to work on the lower part of the body, the middle part of the body, the higher part. Be careful, because the higher frequencies are the body sometimes doesn't like them. So always begin with low frequency, and then step by step, day by day, when your body agrees, you can increase the frequencies to go to the higher part of the body. And so you can select, you can select the beat. There are different beats. The 0.1 Hertz, which is the Mayo wave, but you have also a beat according to the emptiness of the ventricle, which is smaller. You can decide to have a shift or not between the two sound waves, which is,
180 degree out of phase mirrors is what we use in Therapy.
That's also what we are looking for in the Therapy. Yeah. And so, and you have also an option. I've tried to make my best to select specific part of the body related to chakra. What's important also is that you have access to the table. So this is the table. This is not the perfect frequency, but to get you an idea in which kind of frequency, because there are a lot of decimal, and so you can select left and right frequency you want to use, and if you want to make a beat, if you want to make a shift, everything is explained how to do this, and so you can select the type of frequency you want to use. Some people ask me also, these are the references of two websites about the app. So one is my own personal website, which is it's very easy. On Google you type CranioSacral space and app, you will find the link to the site.
There's 5 apps.
There are 5 apps, yes. 3 for HRV and 1 for just the sound that I explained, which can be also related to the HRV, because you have an entertainment with the binaural beat will induce an entertainment of your pressure wave inside your body. So while listening to the sound, the binaural sound, you can also, with this sensor or with a polar chest strap different kind of sensor. There is different possibilities or different sensor. You can measure if it's inducing something in your Mayo wave, in your HRV wave. And
so the brainwave device will also measure the HRV simultaneously.
Yes.
With the phase loss.
You can have both. You can have brainwave and also, it's not as powerful as the HRV apps, but you have, it's possible to have a part of the information.
So the flameinmind.com, the main brainwave is flameinmind.com, and that app includes the Flame in Sound. You can buy just the Flame in Sound binaural very cheaply.
Yeah.
So the Flame in Mind app, the app is around 200 and the device is around 250, which is about 90% less than the old version Bliss Tuner. It does more. Or separately, you can buy just the sound, the binaural Bliss app. It's flameinmind.com/flame-in-sound, and that's only $20.
Yeah, this is the other, the other website, but this is the main website of the HRV apps, the free HRV apps. Just about HRV, some more information about the way that we are measuring coherence. So, as I explained yesterday, we are working on the HRV must not be flat. So most of the people think that if you have a fixed heart rate, you're healthy. It's not. It should go always up and down, and the more it's going up and the more it's going down, the much the distance between these two, the top part and the lower part of HRV, the more you have vitality. What's the difference between what we are doing and what most of the HRV apps on the market are doing? So I just began to explain how we are extracting information from the waves. So you see, at the top this is an HRV wave, and to explain you how we measure coherence, I've just created a wave here in green, you see? And this green wave is in fact three different waves. One which is 5 cycles per minute, another one which is 10 cycles per minute, and another one which is 20 cycles per minute. And if we combine these three waves, we get this green wave here. So now we are using a mathematical analyzing of the shape of this wave, and we get 3 peaks here on the spectrum. And these 3 peaks, one is on 5, one is on 10, and one is on 20. And the position of the peaks are giving the frequency of the different component of the waves, and the size of the different peaks gives the size of the amplitude of the different waves. So if we are playing a single frequency note on not on a piano keyboard, but on an electronic keyboard, you will get a single frequency like this. This is a single frequency note. Now, if you're using a harp, a guitar, piano, you will get another kind of. This is the shape of a single frequency, you see, an electronic frequency. And this is the shape of, let's say, a piano, a violin, and this, you will hear the difference. But what I want to explain you is that, you see, there are a lot of waves inside this wave. It's the same frequency, it's the same music notes, but inside there are a lot of harmonics. So single one, let's try to hear the other one. See, it's more rich, the more smooth also. How then is defined coherence? It was defined with EKG. So the raw data of EKG, so electrical pulses. And what he was looking for and what he was measuring, it was a cascade in the spectrum. And look at the shape of the cascade in the spectrum. And in fact, the shape of the spectrum you see if there are a lot of, well, this is an example here. You have a lot of different peaks appearing in the spectrum. And if you want to have an information about the coherence inside the spectrum, so about the harmonics which are present, and in fact it's related to the position of the different peaks relatively to each other, and also the size of the different peaks relatively to each other. If you want to explain it in another way, you just draw a curve on the top of all the peaks. And if you have a beautiful cascade, it's coherence. And that's what I showed you yesterday from the work of Dan, is that you take a first analysis, a first FFT analysis, and you get this kind of things. And then you make a second analysis of this red top of the curve. And you get the famous peak that we talked about yesterday, which is a spectrum. So it's a second analysis of the first analysis.
Second order power.
Yeah. And the first biggest peak that we get is related to the coherence. So the more this peak is, the bigger the size of this peak, the more it is we get
So
coherence.
it just means that the primary peaks are in phase or coherent.
Yeah, and that's what we can play with tomorrow. We already showed it yesterday.
So that's how we got in the literature
Yeah,
to
yeah.
invent the concept of
And
part coherence.
this is Dan and Valerie, and as we said yesterday, when the peak is around 1, you're in your head, mental, and the more you go down to 0.6, the more you're in the heart. So it's a beautiful. Yeah. There were.
You see the two peaks are lined up.
They are very linked to each other. You see the two peaks are one on each other, and well, it's quite a beautiful coherence. So this is what we are doing. We cannot get EKG with the heart rate, so the iDrive app. We could only get HRV, so heart rate variation. And so we have introduced in the app exactly the same thing that I just explained with EKG. So instead of looking for what was happening in the first order spectrum, we analyze again the first order spectrum to get a peak on another spectrum. And so we got what is HRV breath coherence. And so the more you will practice, you see here the HRV from 60 to 90 is just a breathing practice. Just so you see your heart rate going very high, very low. When you practice, the more you will practice, the biggest will be this amplitude here. And what we are measuring, which is different from the other apps which are measuring coherence, they are measuring only a single peak. So they are looking at the size of one of the peaks of this spectrum. And maybe I can show it here. You see? This is the spectrum, the first order spectrum, and what they are looking is just the side of this peak here. But we are analyzing the broad spectrum. So all the frequencies which are coming, and we are analyzing the relationship. So instead of the single music note that I played a few minutes ago, you have, it's like if you are analyzing only one peak, one single frequency, you have only one of the instruments of the orchestra. But if the other instruments of the orchestra are out of tune, you don't get it. But we are analyzing the whole orchestra, the harmony of the music, the piece of music of the whole orchestra. This is the difference on our way of analyzing and the way of analyzing of the other. If we take back the example that I have explained how we are extracting the wave, so this is, let's say, HRV in green. We get 3 different peaks, but we can go backwards and do the opposite mathematical analysis. And then from this kind of wave, we can recreate the original different bands of the HRV. And that's what we have in our app. You see the HRV is here in red, and you have here the three different waves which are inside the frequency band. The lower frequency, which is in brown here, there are three parts in the spectrum. You see the very low frequency, which is in brown, the low frequency, which is called the LF band here, which is related to the sacrocranial wave. And here in the display in yellow and in blue, it's a LF band of HRV in blue and LF band, so this part of the spectrum, of the pressure wave, which is catch from a light sensor in the finger.
So HRV is divided medically, VLF, LF, and HF. And so doctors, when they look at that, they see a lot. And if you begin to understand that the LF, 0.1 hertz, Mayer wave, that's your sacrocranial pump pumping. So to be able to watch that separately is powerful.
And what we have found, which is very interesting too, is that there is another way, a new way of measuring coherence, is just to measure the phase shift and the synchronicity between the electrical signal coming from the heart, which is HRV, and the pressure signal coming from the blood pressure. And you see here, when you're breathing at around 0.1 hertz, and there is a coherent state inside your body, so you are quite relaxed, you are quite coherent, there is a beautiful relationship between, you see, the blue waves, which is HRV LF wave, and the yellow one, which is the PPG.
So
that's what, yeah, okay.
the blue is the electric voltage of your heart resonance, and the yellow is the actual mechanical pressure changing in your blood. And we call that power factor when they're lined up,
Yeah.
which is actually how power factor is measured.
That's why the electric component and the liquid component are in phase.
Exactly.
And this is, for us, a new way of measuring coherence.
They originally measured blood pressure that way when you were...
Yeah. I explained yesterday that we can also make a comparison between the frequency and the music note. So I have the idea to make the relationship between the frequency coming from the heart and the music notes. And, well, I extract it in different ways. Well, I have to speed it up, I'm sorry. But so if we make a night analysis, this is 8 hours of night analysis, you can get different kind of shape for what happened during your night. And you will see that each night will be different. And you see here, this is the music notes coming out from a night. And also I have measured a session, Yoga Nidra session. I don't know if everybody knows what is Yoga Nidra. In Yoga Nidra, it's the same kind of sleep, but you're awake. But only your mind is awake, but your body is completely asleep. And you see, this is the first part of the night, here. And here, this is the Yoga Nidra. You see, it's exactly the same shape. It's very interesting. Also, what is very important is that with iDrive and this polar chest strap, we can make a night recording and see the amount of deep sleep stage you have during your night.
That's beautiful.
Okay. And we can measure in both ways, two ways. One with heart rate analysis, and also with the analysis of your movement. Because when you're in deep sleep, your body didn't move at all. It's like in Yoga Nidra. And so you see, you can place, yes, we are using the accelerometer of the phone. You place it on your bed, and it's just measuring the movement of your bed.
Two ways.
Yeah. And so we can display two waves. So you see here, well, this is the white curve here. It's the analysis of what's happening in the night in HRV. And all the lower part in light blue here are deep sleep part.
That's the good stuff.
So this is from getting from HRV. And the red one here, it's the analysis of the movement of your bed during the night. And you see there is a perfect relationship between both of them.
So your deep sleep measured with your HRV corresponded to the measurement of the accelerometric. So you're actually confirming that did you get your deep sleep?
So you see here this is an explanation of the different sleep stage, and this part, the lower part here, is the growth hormone release. It's the best part of the night where everything is resetting inside, cleaning your brain. A lot of things appearing at this part of the night.
With doing the sleep stages and then looking at it in comparison to musical notes, does it give you multiple key signatures or does it only give you one? Because let's say like I didn't know what key to start my song in the morning.
Well, if the relationship, well, I think that the relationship we have done with, like I explained yesterday, with the frequency and the music notes, yes, normally it should help you, because I played a lot while working on the programming of the app, and I stay with days. I didn't took out the sensor while before testing, and so I have a lot of recordings, and I have noticed that in fact when you don't move.
Yes.
While I was programming, it was always the same music notes were coming, and then I say, okay, let's take a walk, let's breathe a little bit, let's move a little bit, but not making sport, and just relaxing, moving. The other notes are coming. So it's very important to not to stay without any movement, just going. If you are working on a desk like most of the time I am during the day, I don't have anything with me. If I have to drink a glass of water, I have to go down to floor, you know, and like that I'm creating, I'm activating, I'm making a resonance to the different parts of my body which are not activated.
Actually, there's several ways in the app you actually get the musical key signature of your heart in order to apply it to your music. So that's to come.
We can,
And so you can see the missing frequencies. Okay. That's a way also to see the missing frequencies.
There's another question here.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, say you measured somebody's heartbeat, blood pressure, anything you are measuring with your device, and you record that you say perfect bliss or whichever state of sleep condition, and then you apply the inverse Fourier transformation to generate the music that would correspond to that state. Does it then work to replay that music to bring the person into that state?
Yeah.
Well, that's related to voice analysis, where you heal your voice with similar with the heart. It's the Sherry Edwards, Dan Kunkel principle, and that's beautiful. And Patrick is beginning to synthesize some harmonics where you can.
Yeah, we think about it, but it's not yet available.
We have a daughter who is using artificial intelligence to check you playing the music.
The potential use, because
so I'm just.
It's done for the voice. You could do it for the heart.
She did.
Yes.
I'm applying it to your work.
It's a good thought. Very good thought. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
To be continued.
Yes.
Last question, I guess. So when you were broadcasting a beat frequency to induce the bliss state, you were using 0.1 hertz. But according to Dan, you need both the high frequency and the low frequency components. Do you know how to embed a high frequency signal onto a 0.1 hertz low frequency signal?
The 0.1 frequency is the beat, so it's the movement of the sound from one brain to the other. That's what we are inducing. But the frequency you are hearing are all the frequency that you have decide to hear coming from the therapy frequencies.
Many high harmonics are already embedded, that's the point.
In the
You see,
point one.
and yeah. The point 1 hertz is just the movement,
Modulation.
the modulation between your two brains.
The higher frequency.
So it will activate one brain. So if you're, let's say, 10 seconds, the sound will be like this, but the frequency are still the same. And we have a 180 degrees shift also between the left and the
So
right.
it's massaging.
Yes, it's a massaging of the brain.
Your brain makes that up.
Your brain feels it even though it's,
Okay.
It's amazing. We have to talk more with Patrick. More to come tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.